Hi, welcome to my Project 3 podcast. My name is Gabriel Lucero, and today we are going to be talking about video games. We're going to be diving into some games specifically. We are going to be talking about some of the graphics improvements that have happened over the years, as well as um, what video games mean to me personally. And what I'm about to say has no scientific evidence behind it. It has no research behind it. It's all just personal opinion and why I think video games are important to me. So growing up, video games, have always been one of the bigger things in my life. Besides sports and of course my family and school, video games always had like a little like segment in my life. And growing up, my parents did work a lot, so during the summers it was mainly just my older sister, my older brother, and then myself. We would spend a lot of time with each other, and during the summers we really didn't have anything else to do. We lived in some apartments, and there's only you can only go to the pool so many times before you're either sunburnt or you've got water in places that you didn't know you could get water, and you kind of just get tired of it a little bit, especially when it gets super hot out there and you just get super drained. We would always just be like, okay, well, it's kind of hot today. We can either go to the pool, or we can play video games, or we can do both of them at the same, or we can do both of them. We can't do that at the same time, but we can do both of them. And so the majority of my life growing up, the majority of my childhood, I guess I could say, was that we'd be playing video games, and that's how we would bond and kind of hang out, and we made a lot of memories like that. And whether my brother and sister had stuff to do for like either with my sister it was either band, or my brother it was basketball. Um, I knew that once they got that stuff done, that we could either just all hang out and play video games, or just even relax with each other. Right? But I knew that we would be doing, something like that, a good majority of the days of the summer. So it was always one of those things that was like, it's got a bit of that, like I said, nostalgic feel for it to me. Um, Even with newer games, it doesn't even have to be um, the playing the same games that we played when I was growing up, even the newer games, because to this day I'll still play video games with my brother and sister, and they live in completely different states. So for me, it's still one of those things where that is how we, hang out and bond and kind of just spend time with each other. So it still plays a major role in it. And for me, video games have never really been about the graphics and story. Yes, those two things are important. They're some of the most important things, and one of the things, and one of the few things that people look for a lot in video games when a new game is coming out, or when there's a new addition to an ongoing series that's coming out. Um, they look at, okay, are these graphics better? Is the story going to be better? Is it continuing the story? Is it going to have the same graphics and whatever? Um, but for me, it's always been about the people that you play with and the memories that you make. Um, that's why that I see video games as being a little bit more, not as I guess you could say deviant, because some people could see um, video games as a bit of a deviation from normal society, because a lot of people see it as something that is counterproductive or just a waste of time. And for me, video games have never really been, a waste of time or counterproductive at all. They've always been, an escape from all the other things that are going on inside the real world. And I could kind of just zone out, be in my own little space for, a certain amount of time, and then kind of just de-stress and relax depending on the game, of course. Um, but it's always been one of those things where I've never seen it as like a problem or something that's bad. Something that needs to be, banned and just done with forever. Um, for me, video games have always been a bit of like a release valve, and it's been a way that my siblings and I have actually bonded over the years. Um, we made a bunch of memories. And I can go ahead and say that a personal from a personal viewpoint, like video games are in fact not a waste of time. Um, yes, some people might say, oh well, high schoolers and people who play video games, they tend to have bad grades because they're focusing more on video games, and schoolwork or any other responsibilities, and video games are just taking over their life. It's like, well, that is the case, sometimes, but for me and for my brother, video games never really did, um, had an effect on our grades because the way the parents raised us, it was always you got to get your schoolwork done or any other things like chores, whatever we're asking you to do, you got to get that done before you can relax or play video games or whatever else. You got to make sure that we had our stuff done first before we got to have fun. So we always grew up like that. So we always saw video games as like a little bit of a reward for getting our stuff done either ahead of time or on time, or we just saw it as like a little reward and um, for getting our stuff done, like I said, and then to be able to just relax and hang out. So we always kind of, it wasn't like, oh yes, well we need to have this and this and this because it wasn't like necessarily a requirement for us to continue to do good in school and to continue to be good kids. It's just, and our parents never actually said like, well, we're gonna take this away from you if you act up or anything like that. We were just kind of just did our thing. Never really got in trouble. Never really caused any you know um, trouble for our parents or anything like that. So it was, we stayed out of a lot of trouble by playing video games, just hanging out with each other. I remember there was a time where my mom was just like, um, she was like, why don't you go like, I don't remember exactly what she said, but she had told me to do something, and she was just like, you should go outside, just hang out outside for a little bit, or go hang out with somebody, like just get out of the house for a little bit. I'm like, Mom, would you rather have me staying at home playing video games with people that you know, or me being out and about with people that you don't know and not knowing what I'm doing? And right then and there, she was kind of like, okay, now I see the point of it, and I can actually keep an eye on you. So I kind of talked my way into, being like, okay, yeah, so video games are a little bit useful, productive, and especially for parents because you can kind of monitor where your kids are at because they're mostly going to be at home. So yeah, video games for me have always been a thing where it's really, not the video games. For me, it's not that they're essentially like a waste of time. A lot of people can develop careers in video games, whether it's making video games or now a really big thing is being a YouTuber, like a content creator or a streamer. You just for YouTube, you upload videos, you get paid for like the views, likes, comments, all these other things. Um, and then for streaming, some of the bigger streamers can make thousands of dollars a day just from receiving donations from people that watch them. It's crazy to think about paying somebody else to be able to see them like play a video game. You can play that video game yourself or watch it for free somewhere else. But these people, a lot of them are actually really good at the games, and they get paid for their talents, and that's not even like accounting for the money that they get from um, sponsorships, donations. I guess is already a part of that. But maybe like sponsorships or ads and stuff like that. So it's a really big thing that stemmed from. There's a lot of different things that have actually stemmed from video games, and there's been a lot of improvements over the years with video games themselves. The graphics on that improved so much that there's going to go and be some pictures up here in a bit from Halo 1, Halo Combat Evolved until, the newest game, Halo Infinite, is going to be coming out sometime this year. Even Halo 5. I know a lot of people didn't really like that art style that they did with it, but it's still graphically a huge improvement from what was before what we had back in the early 2000s to now. And I remember, even now I'm saying, dang, video games look so good right now. I wonder what they're going to look like in 15 years. I wonder what they're going to look like in 20 years. even in 5 years, they're going to be completely different from what we see today. They're going to look so much better. They're going to look a lot more realistic. It's going to feel like we're actually there. And another good example is the God of War games. It's been a PlayStation exclusive. Um, and, back on the PlayStation 2, um, the graphics back then, for that era that the game came out, those graphics were pretty good. Right. But then if you compare it to the graphics of the God of War game that came out in 2018, I believe, it's like, wow, I can't believe we actually used to play on something like this and play with graphics like this and think that they were actually good. So it's really crazy to see, the differences and just the drastic improvements that have been made in the graphics, as well as storytelling. I mean, storytelling is really easy. It doesn't really have any, technology doesn't really have an effect on it. But when you're able to have more technology in a game, you can have different ways that it might be able to affect the story. Um, like a lot of games now that are really, story driven, have a lot of different outcomes that you can choose. And before that wasn't really like a whole lot of an option, or it wasn't really like a major option, major choice, because it required too much technology that wasn't really available at the time. They could get it done, but it wasn't going to be really realistic to be able to have a lot of people play with a lot of these different, choices and rules and all this other stuff. And it's crazy to see how gaming has kind of transitioned into something that's really, really um, that's gotten as big as it is, I guess I could say. It's really been one of those things that's kind of changed and kind of risen up as technology has gotten better and improved. And one of the bigger games right now for people to play, watch, stream, whatever, um, is Call of Duty Warzone. It's a battle royale. It came out in 2020, in March of 2020, I believe. And so it's been out for just a little over a year. And over the past couple of years, since one of the games that really kind of kicked it off for everybody was Fortnite. Over the past couple of years, the battle royale style kind of game has really taken over the gaming industry. And it seems like everybody's coming out with their own battle royale. Everybody's trying to have the best battle royale that they can possibly make. Some succeed, some fail. Um, and right now, I'd say that Call of Duty Warzone is one of those things that succeed. Yes, there's a lot of problems with the game. There's a lot of things going on with the game that could be fixed. The developers are doing their best to fix it. And as people who play the game, it's what you want. You want to see the developers actually paying attention to the issues and to the players that are playing their game, because those people worked, years on that one project, and to have nobody play it would be a little bit disrespectful and hurtful to be able to see that. So people they're paying attention, and it's one of the biggest games. Streamers, especially streamers, they're having a little bit of a field day with it, because yes, it's the same game over and over. It's the same map over and over. But with the battle royale, you get different people that you're playing against. Sometimes get different people that you're playing against in each game, and the point of it is to survive, be the last person, last team, whatever, in the end, and that's how you win. So streamers are really having a field day with it, because their audience, yeah, they're watching the same thing over and over again, essentially, but at the same time, it's not really the same thing. Different things can happen. You can be in a different spot. It's one of those things that has a lot of variables in it that can really change how the game plays. You can be the best player in the world, and then walk into a building and there's somebody just camping in a really dark corner, and you die, and then your game's over. Um, but Warzone is one of those games where it's mainly just about seeing how many wins that you can get, or how many kills you can get in each game. And that one, I guess you can really say that It's about the people that you play with. For me, it's always been about people that I play with. Video games. That's where video games kind of got their little spot in my life, was just because of the people that I played with. It wasn't ever actually about stories and stuff like that, and graphics. And like I said earlier, now yes, graphics and stuff like that are important. But for me, what's important is the memories that are made, the people that you play with, and the memories that you make with them. It's always been one of those things for me, and it's never going to really be like, it's never going to be replaced by, oh no, I don't really care about that game. I can play with other people, but I want to play this one because it's got amazing graphics. Now, if it had a really good story, then maybe, but most of the time, I'm going to choose to play with people that I know, and that I know that if I play that game, that there's most likely going to be times where I'm going to make memories with them. So for me, video games have never been a waste of time. Video games have never been, for me, seen as like deviant. Um, and video games have never really been about the graphics or the story, or if it's got anything to do with series of games or whatever. It's always been about the memories that I can make with it. It's always been about the people that I play with. That's really what I can say about video games, and just the meaning that it has to me, the importance that it has to me. Um, it goes back to those childhood days of being able to play with my brother and sister, and continuing that today into our adult lives, being able to just play with the people that you grew up with, especially family members, because most people in their lives kind of lose touch with their family members, and then they regret not staying in touch or staying as close as they were. So I know that video games will be able to provide that. It'll be that bridge for us to kind of stay connected and stay close. And it's not going to be us kind of just, oh yeah, I haven't seen them in 6 years. I might not see each other in a few months, but it feels like we just saw each other yesterday, because we're playing video games with each other and talking to each other in the like party chat or game chat or whatever. So it's always been one of the things where it's just, for me, it's just about the memories that I can make. Thank you for listening to my Project 3 podcast.